Spacestation Gaming, Trifecta, two teams that have looked strong, but only one goes to land. That said, still a great reason for these teams to play. Plenty of Smite to be headed throughout the rest of the year. Hopefully you can hear me better now. But Trifecta here, expecting to bring out the big guns?
Yeah, I think they will because despite United securing that spot at LAN, you know Spacestation is going to be looking to bounce back. You know that they aren't happy about getting 2-0'd here. So Trifecta, this can build them some confidence going in, and Spacestation probably just want to get on the correct foot before going to LAN.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of reason for both of these teams to really come in hot. Trifecta has been one of the most exciting teams, I think, to watch because of the what-if factor. They came in kind of slow, Zapman kind of sleepy, NeiruMah new to the league, but these guys have really started to stand up. Mask coming together. SmiteVOD has been there since minute one, perhaps the most surprising part to at least this analyst, but Zapman and Mask and NeiruMah, when these guys group up together, Trifecta can be so scary.
They really can. The ceiling for this team is sky high. This team has the potential, I really believe, to go all the way and make it to a world championship sort of caliber, but still not quite there yet. They still have games where they look a little discombobulated, where they play a little bit too over aggressive, but there are games when they're clicking on all cylinders, man, they could beat anybody in the world.
You know what really does it for what's interesting to me at least is the fact that right now most teams play through jungle and mid, and that's not what Trifecta seemingly should do. They play a lot of the time through their solo laner, SmiteVOD. They've been giving him these selections that aren't really Sobek, despite him being very dominant. They're giving him characters that can be that tanky presence, but also can carry as well, and that's where Trifecta's finding a lot of their strides.
Yeah, they've kind of done it all. They've had games where they've played entirely through SmiteVOD. They've had games where Mask just fully on carries them. They've had games where Metyankey's doing great work, where the duo lane ends up coming up big. They have the potential to kind of do all of these things, and that's what really impresses me about Trifecta. That's why I'm so high on them as we go out throughout the year, is that they have these games where their individual performances are enough to find the victories, but their team play still needs to catch up and be up to snuff, and I think that it eventually will be. It just was we're just one split too early for Trifecta to be the cream of the crop in North America.
I mean, it makes sense, and it makes sense too. Less about creating excuses and more about just being realistic about it. NeiruMah is a great player, highly capable, but he is a rookie to the league, right? Mask over here adjusting to having SmiteVOD being consistent. This guy was very inconsistent, and when you're able to depend on that solo laner, it's a much different experience than when you have to sort of pick up the pieces for them time and time again. So different approaches, a lot of different characters kind of meshing together. The future is bright for Trifecta.
No doubt about it. As you mentioned, Neil, kind of newer to the league, played last year, but hasn't been around the pro scene for quite as long. Isn't it funny, though, that a lot of those Oxygen Supremacy guys of last year in spring, NeiruMah, Venenu, these dudes come in and make big impacts on top-end teams that continue to do so. I mean, Venenu, I got flashbacks to that Oxygen Supremacy team watching him play that Chiron last game. That's what it reminded me of, that he was constantly playing that kind of stuff, and the flair that these two have brought to the league and how continually great they seem to be. NeiruMah, I think, is going to have a ton of success during his career. I'm a real big believer in how well that he plays and the way that he thinks about the game.
He's got the instincts. He really does when he makes the move. He's got a weird god pull, and I like that. And I think for Trifecta to be successful, they need to kind of embrace that, let him do kind of what he does. He can be the North American Dardes. But like I said, it comes down to instincts. And who he reminds me of is really JeffHindla. Hindla comes through and sort of had these instincts from minute one of, I just know to body block my character. I know that I have to slow this down. And JeffHindla for a long time has laned with BaRRaCCuDDa, who has been kind of quiet in juxtaposition to the rest of the team, but that's less of a knock towards BaRRa and more of just a realization of how strong the rest of the team is. BaRRa has just been able to play cleanup while everybody does the heavy lifting.
Yeah, I was just kind of talking about this with Graham off air in between games of the last set between Spacestation and United. I wonder if Baskin being this good has been kind of a detriment to the rest of Spacestation. Spacestation has just been along for the ride all year, and how could they not be? Baskin has been that dominant so far, but on the games where Baskin doesn't be the king, doesn't full-on carry the game, is the rest of Spacestation awake enough? Are they ready for that to be there? BaRRa, I said it on the cast, I thought had a pretty good set last set. I mean, it wasn't a winning victory for them, but he was consistently putting out player damage, and that's kind of the step, right? You're looking for the baby steps for these guys to get back into the swing of things. Towards the beginning of the year, Baskin was killing everyone. BaRRa wasn't really doing any player damage. Now, BaRRa's doing the player damage. It's just a matter of time until he has one of those transcendent performances. I'm sure it's right around the corner.
I mean, it's tough. Baskin, I said this before. I want your opinion on this before we jump into picks and bans. I think the gap between Baskin and the second best player is wider than any time we've had a best player before.
No. I don't think I necessarily agree with that.
Really?
I think season 1 andinster was so much better than everyone else that it wasn't close. I think that if you gave me Baskin and Adapting are that much better than the rest of the cast,
sure. I think Baskin and Adapting are tied for that number 1.
I'll buy that, but
Okay.
right now, as far as clear number 1s go, I think that the number 2 player is a little bit closer than it was before.
Still very impressive stuff coming out from Baskin. P's and B's, pretty pleased as we get into set number 3. SSG versus
Trifecta
Z's. Hey,
Trifecties.
Zapman's got his thing where everything begins with a Z.
Right.
Zubs, etc.
Yes.
So Trifecta Z.
No, because wouldn't it start with the Z if it were like the Zapman branding?
So we're talking like Pig Latin then.
Yeah.
Ifecta Z.
Okay, we're going too far. I just want to talk about Nemesis being
Nemesis banned overall.
Thank you. Yeah,
SSG. Who are going to be banned on the other side of the TV?
That's a classic Mask pick. The Nemesis just one of the. I'm not going to acknowledge it. No, I won't. The Mask, the former teammates, of course, with Jeff and BaRRa, so they know his playstyle in and out. Mask has been playing Nemesis for well over a year now, well into his time with those guys. So that's just a guaranteed safe ban there against Trifecta.
Uller and Soul, just 2 strong picks for a team that has to be aware of the Hunters. And Janus, Spacestation Gaming. Just want Baskin to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Janus going to be played here. Janus not as capable as some of the other picks to just farm kills. He absolutely can, but it's not the raw, like, offensive nature.
He's not the 1v1
Exactly.
sort of mage. He's a team fight mage, and that's where the difference comes in. And I like that Spacestation go right back to this. We just saw them not have any success, really. Baskin not having any success with this Janus in the last game. You know he can do it.
Yeah.
He nearly won the game for them against Energy at Worlds last year with the Janus pick. So you know it's in the potential there in the cards, but going straight back to it saying, yo, get comfortable, because we're going to need you to have this pick ready come land time. This is a smart pick by SSG.
2 globals, 1 truly, 1 semi on the side of a Trifecta, Ratatoskr and Athena, respectively. Janus, Jingwei, and Serqet, the choice for Spacestation Gaming. You know when Jingwei says, "Oh, hey, fam," that's Finch's favorite voice line.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's a good voice line. I can see Finch really being into that too.
Yeah, he's got a good Jingwei impression, actually.
Does he really?
Yeah, you guys should ask him to do it in the Mixer chat.
I will.
Agni going to be the mid laner for Trifecta here.
Nice.
I at no point in time do I ever dislike Agni, but specifically on Metyankey, I say time and time again, he's a utility mid laner for me, and Agni allows him to both be that utility mid laner, but also be the damage mid laner if it happens to fall into place.
Yeah, I think Agni is Met's best pick right now, and I'm excited to see him return to the Isis because I think he will. That was his best pick last year.
Yep.
But they're kind of similar gods. You're right. They control team fights very, very well, and Metyankey's got a great feel for that. Controlling team fights as a mage player is very feel-oriented because you need to be able to make your own calls on who, and just kind of know innately who you need to be stunning, who you need to be peeling for, when you need to be the initiator. It's a very feels operation, and Metyankey clearly has that in him because he's done very well on those control mages.
Ram chosen here for Trifecta. I've gotten into this terrible habit when I'm commentating that when Ram ults, I go, "Whoa!" with him. I don't know why
I have not
it.
noticed that, but I wish he would stop already.
I've
only heard it once.
I can't handle it. It's so funny. But the Achilles and the Ganesha going to clean things up for Spacestation Gaming. Pretty cut and dry here. Janus mid, Jingwei, BaRRaCCuDDa, Serqet in the jungle. Achilles will be over there on the short side. Ganesh will join BaRRa. And the Sobek will be Trifecta's choice. The Sobekitude coming over there in what is likely to be the solo lane. Should be a very interesting matchup between these two teams because, frankly, I think these drafts, very rarely does this happen. I think we're kind of even.
Man, Achilles 8th pick, Sobek 10th pick. What universe are we living in? These are 2 stacked drafts on each side. I really feel like both teams coming away feeling like they got away with something against the opposition.
I mean, this is both teams pretty happy about this. I think you're looking at the raw execution factor of these two teams. So Spacestation Gaming, Andy on the Serqet. I think this is a nice look for Spacestation. They played through Baskin because he's been the go-to guy, but andinster in the jungle was kind of what I was excited about for Season 6 or Season 5. So looking at him there, I like to see this look for Spacestation.
Yeah, I really feel like Spacestation is probably a little bit happier than that of Trifecta. I just think that Serqet has a little bit harder carry potential than the Ratatoskr, but Mask has played so well so far in Season 5 that I really don't think you can count out Trifecta here.
Mask has the god he wants. Andy has the god he wants. Mid laners lined up as well. This is anybody's game. Really fun way to clean up the spring split. Game 1. Let's get to it.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ryan, for analyzing that for us. It's going to be Finch and Tolly bringing you the cast. Spacestation up against Trifecta, and we may already have our LAN participants, but it kind of still feels like for Spacestation, you don't want to go into the LAN 0-2, right? Or losing your last 2 sets.
That's true. It's going to be very important for Trifecta to still battle their way into this one to end the split on a positive note. Same can be said for Spacestation as they approach the LAN. And then you got the epic rivalry here. BaRRaCCuDDa versus Zapman.
That's right. What a great matchup to try and watch there in the Hunter role. But who do you all think will win in the chat? Go ahead and vote for us, Mixer. Please let us know who you're going to think is going to win. But Tolly, you kind of summarized it perfectly there for me, I think. For Trifecta, it's about trying to make sure you got some momentum going into summer. For Spacestation, momentum going into LAN. I mean, EU looks so tough right now, so every bit of confidence you can come in with, I got to think is going to help out.
It's a whole different beast, though, as we approach the LAN. A lot of these experienced players can just pull a hard reset as they approach this event and going to be able to really bring in a new set of strategies and execution, more importantly. It's a lot different battling within your own introspective region versus across the ocean. Europe is just a different ballgame.
Well, we are ready to move into Game 1 between these two very strong North American squads. And totally, we didn't even spend much time, because of just how important all these games are, talking about these drafts. In particular, Baskin is going to be on the Janus, which we saw him play Game 2, I believe, of the last set. Maybe not as strong as you've gotten used to expecting, just because we're used to him being almost Herculean. So him having maybe like a normal game is a little surprise.
We can see him always pop off if he gets a great start, no matter what god he was playing. In the first game of the last set, he was able to really pop off on the Achilles.
Yeah.
Got a great start. Unfortunate couple of calls there where Spacestation were a little too overzealous.
Yes.
Tried to go all in on Benji. Tried to go all in on Panicat. Double failing. Allowed the United to kind of get back into it. But then in the second game, didn't get off to the greatest start as the Janus and couldn't really make an impact.
No big surprise to see Mixer chat very heavily favoring Spacestation here. We all know Jeff and BaRRa, the power of Jeff and BaRRa, and now Baskin kind of can be thrown in that same boat. It's hard to vote against us. They're very much some fan favorites there. And I think also Spacestation just largely considered the stronger team right now as well. So Mixer chat, certainly 83% going their way.
The Spectator actually highlighted the Aquarius build, or not the build, but just the stats that he had. By having 12 physical power in his start, that means that he went for the shirtless build right off the bat, going for the power and the mobility here. Even in the solo lane, when you're building tanky here, going for an early Warrior's Blessing, it's very important to be able to get that extra power, because honestly, the defense and the health not really going to help you clear this wave.
And starting with the 3 as well. When you're able to hit that enemy god and get the reset, it's actually more damage. It's a ton of damage if you're able to hit it. It looked like he was only able to get it onto those front creeps there, the melees, so instead they're going to back up and just grab their blue buffs there, totally.
And he's going to be able to get back to the lane here before the Sobek will, clearing out the blue. Both of them going to miss out on that one archer. Not the biggest deal here. It's just a game of inches. At the end of the day, it's going to be important to see how Aquarius will bully out Sobek before he gets the couple of levels he needs to heal from a sickening strike.
2-man taunt lance from NeiruMah. Gets knocked up by the persistent gust, but Zap accurate with the autos as ever. BaRRaCCuDDa early on is poked very low by the dual lane of NeiruMah and Zap.
Such a mind game between these two players, honestly, because that knockup, if that happened half a second later after the Rama already dashed in, I think that might be first blood outright, or at least at the very least, force out the sprint from JeffHindla just to keep his Hunter alive.
Not barely able to get it, but I mean, isn't this a tale as old as any, though? BaRRaCCuDDa and Zap in the duo lane battling it out. I mean, these Hunters have been around, it feels like, forever, and neither one of them appears to have lost a step. BaRRaCCuDDa able to get plenty sustained up here in the lane, and they'll go back at it again.
A lot of historical matchups there, honestly, between Zap and anybody. The last set that he was against, honestly, against CLG, where up against Snoopy there, didn't have the best game against him, where he was getting a little bit annoyed. I could tell that he was getting zoned, so he's like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to ulti through you, but he paid the ultimate price.
Jeff is very low. Sprint has had to come out, roll aggressive from Zapman, finds the first shot, and Neil hits it with the in-hand, takes down first blood, and it's going to be JeffHindla that falls.
I don't think he needed to basic attack there, or maybe he assumed that that wasn't going to find the last hit.
Neil,
definitely, yeah. At this level of play, you need to be able to execute everything perfectly, and even the first blood needs to be coordinated between Zap and NeiruMah. It's like, all right, listen, let me get that first blood. I need to get the bigger gap. Try to get that power spike play. Both of these hunters going for the Devil Gloves and finishing off the Hunter's Blessing evolution could be the difference of zoning one more wave or just being all even Steven.
I think it might have been a case of Neil not quite realizing that that last hit was going to be enough to take down JeffHindla, perhaps, but in the end, they do at least secure first blood from themselves, and importantly as well, they able to burn the beads from BaRRa with the taunt from Neil. He felt very pressured, and so that's another cooldown that's not going to be available for BaRRaCCuDDa, could potentially make it even easier for Zap and Neil to further bully, and we see the lane is being a bit frozen here right now.
And now, don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, a lot of these teams would be very satisfied with just the fact that they got a first blood to begin with, whether you're SPL, minor league, other regions in total. But at the end of the day, when you're this high caliber in the North American SPL, you need to be able to make sure you get every little thing under your belt to find these victories, as Trifecta needs to definitely clean it up here as they approach the summer split.
Backing is the dual lane of Trifecta. I've got my eyes, though, on this solo lane where ScaryD going to be going into protections, it looks like, first, as opposed to Aquarius, who's going right into them boots. Going to add a little bit of extra power, as we already saw him going with the shirtless build. Good guy Achilles coming in doing a little bit of extra damage.
And that's what it's really all about here, abusing that early game power, because your late game as Achilles is not as dominant in terms of the control factor. Sobek has a very impressive stat, an unspeakable stat, right? Like it's not displayed, the crowd control statistic that he really has between the pluck, between the tail whip. It's all game in, game out, the way different players kind of pilot this god here. Some Sobeks in the solo lane will offer the Blink, the second relic, increasing their effectiveness of controlling team fights.
It is a little hard to quantify, isn't it, how much control Sobek can bring to a team fight, but you know it's there. You know, when you're getting plucked out of position or tail whipped right when you were looking for that last auto, you know, you certainly feel it, and his ability to chase when he's lurking in the waters and not be peeled. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess the words intangibles that Sobek has that you can't quite put a number value on.
Whereas Aquarius has a lot of number values.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat with his passive. He's always looking for the damage to set up his execute, that fatal strike. Once you get somebody at 30% health threshold, you're going to be able to find the execute as long as you don't get body block there. I believe it was game number 1 where Baskin was looking for the kill on Sabenchi, getting body blocked actually by Panicat. Not very often that your hunter will bite the bullet for your solo laner, but very useful for E United in that last set.
Joining now andinster, or joining Baskin, is andinster here in the mid lane. There's Serqet up against the Ratatoskr here in the jungle. Mask and ScaryD really have come together as a team. Hold that thought. The taunt comes out. Dharmic Pillars locks down NeiruMah right on top of him. Mask goes up to the Cosmos, but the damage on the Unstable Vortex is huge. Baskin pairing up with andinster sets up a double kill for his jungler. Spacestation respond, and they respond well.
Very fortunate positioning for Baskin that 2 Trifecta members were in vicinity of both of those orbs. It's very difficult to connect that, let alone on one target. Keep in mind that that was on 2.
Yeah.
And Serqet ultimate on top of that. I believe it's spread on the second target. Very clean double kill here from Spacestation, whereas it was Trifecta that was trying to get the engagement off with that dash taunt from NeiruMah.
It was Trifecta that started that fight, but right as I'm about to talk about these 2 junglers, the difference between them, andinster makes a great play on this Serqet in the mid lane. This is what's scary about the Spacestation roster. There's so much talk about Baskin and how strong he is. You forget that andinster is a top-tier jungler as well amongst giants. He stands even taller. andinster, man, in the jungler, coming up big.
Spacestation were very patient. They were playing along their own tier 1 tower. think they even saw them coming there. There was a ward at the top left mid Harpy, being able to identify where NeiruMah was. There was a clean cut play there from Trifecta that Spacestation identified, reacted to perfectly, and now allows andinster to get a very comfortable lead.
And give some credit to JeffHindla as well. He drops the Dharmic Pillars and is able to catch NeiruMah, I believe, on top of one of those fields to try and help lower that kill threshold even more. So give credit to andinster, give credit to Baskin. JeffHindla as well played that perfectly. It's what's scary about Spacestation, man. Any one of those players could go off, it feels like, at any point and just change the game.
It's very true here. Trifecta are kind of just playing Smite here at a very basic level, I would say, though. If I look at all team by a side-by-side comparison, when I look at Trifecta and I think about them under a microscope, I can't really identify what their identity is compared to a lot of different teams. Now, this Athena pick from NeiruMah, I think, is just a direct result of them losing to CLG, where they were prioritizing that Athena. They first picked it against Trifecta for Final K in the first game, and then first picked it in the second for Jigs. And now I think Trifecta are like, oh, okay, it worked for CLG, let's try it. And then they run it here. Didn't really execute in that middle lane pressure and kind of feeling it.
And it wasn't using the Athena the way that we saw CLG use it. Maybe that's one of the differences there. It was like coming in for the taunt, whereas CLG will like catch you in the jungle. Suddenly, it's 3 against 1 because Defender of Olympus is coming in, rather than just trying to set off the CC, which it looked like Spacestation were able to react to pretty evenly. So making sure that not only do you pick something because it's strong, but that your team is using it to its full potential within the composition as well.
And the thing is, when you're going to be able to force these little skirmishes and engagements straight in the mid lane here, there was no rotation that was kind of caught. Like normally there's a pack of gazelles and you're catching the back gazelle that was rotating from a sloppy positioning here. But that time, they were just straight in the mid lane. We'll see if they clean it up here, though. It's still very early, only 9 minutes in. Still a relatively even game here. Only a 500 gold deficit. But keep in mind, it was Trifecta that got that first blood bounty.
Totally going a bit Planet Earth on us in here. Going after the injured gazelle in the back line. Totally is that what you're...
I've been watching a lot of Planet Earth in that.
Is that what it is? Totally going a little bit Planet Earth here for us in the composition. But look at the safety that Mask is electing to go for, too. He's got beads, opposed to andinster, who's going for the blink. I love these differences we see in the junglers. We might have to wait to talk about that. Mask is looking for action, but just no chance. Aquarius is back underneath the tower.
A little bit too far away, and this is another one of this mindset where Mask thought that they could maybe poke out Aquarius to invade his blue buff. I don't think that either of them actually anticipated a kill. As the spectator pointed out, he did walk over to the ward, so great reaction by Aquarius. But honestly, against a level 10 Achilles here that has Runic Shield, that Sobek wasn't going to deal that much damage.
Andinster is coming for the gank, but the Defender of Olympus is being channeled, and Aquarius now going to be the target because Mask is here as well. Taunt back into the stun, knocked up so he can't try and get away. Mask finds an easy kill, 3v1 in solo.
So unfortunate that Aquarius did not have that fatal strike to disengage fast enough. You can tell that andinster wanted no part of that one. Right. As soon as he saw that Defender of Olympus, he's like, nope, I'm out of here. Eject, press that red button. Just gonna watch my soul laner die on that tier 1 tower.
Yeah, he maybe had like his boombox playing some sad music as he watched Aquarius go down, but there really was nothing that he could do, so he just watches from a safe distance. Mask, though, not ready to give up on this. They're lurking in the jungle, not gonna be able to catch out Andy, who I think realizes it's happening, backs right back up, so no chance that he'll get collapsed.
Now, andinster had the world's tiniest violin out for him. He's just like, I'll miss you, buddy. But you know what? He's back at it again now. No real worries here. ScareD, though, going to take a little bit of damage. This isn't really going to be an executable target here because JeffHindla just a hair too late. Couldn't find the Dharmic Pillars in range.
That's interesting. Even if JeffHindla is there, I don't know if they have a chance to kill a Sobek at this point.
I think
is
they
it just
could've.
to force him back?
I think they could have. If Jeff actually sprinted right then and there during the Sobek ultimate, the pluck was down.
Right.
Lurking in the water was down. That could have been a kill with the whole entire Ganesh kit.
BaRRaCCuDDa now is the one that's under siege. The taunt into the Astral Barrage from Zap, but Zap hits his shots. It's just not quite enough. BaRRaCCuDDa going to try and get some sustain here off the purple buffer. Really Not even worried about it. Just going to grab his own buff itself.
BaRRaCCuDDa really understanding the min-max damage here from Rama snipes, level 10, all 3 hits. Not enough to execute him under that health threshold. He didn't panic by using the airstrike. He holds on to that cooldown, holds on to the beads as well, wasn't worried about any crowd control, and just uses his devil gloves to sustain from the purple buff. This is that veteran ship hunter experience that you're really expecting out of such an elite North American SPL team.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, like the little dog with all the fire around him.
Yeah,
He's just
like,
sipping some coffee.
Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, no, BaRRaCCuDDa was not worried there. Realized, and that's something else that you see from some of these high-level players. Exactly like you said, they recognize the damage potential of their opponents, and so they don't play around it. A lot of the times you'll see from some lower-level players a taunt with no real follow-up, and they beads and panic. You know, these higher-level players can recognize what's the damage around me, what's the danger, and I don't really need to overreact.
Really refreshing to see that high-level caliber play here between these two teams that are still feeling each other out here. You know, at 12 and a half minutes in, despite being 2-2, there's still a lot of action and, you know, poking. It's kind of like a joust almost, like an actual fencing joust where they're like kind of looking for that little angle to get at least 1 point.
A little bit like Joust. Okay, sure, I like it. Metyankey has elected to go with the Soul Reaver second item, and I think this is something we were kind of talking about as a group earlier on, that Soul Reaver, it gives so much power, and it's pretty gold efficient. You can kind of start putting it in your builds even earlier now.
For 2650 gold, 130 magical power, mathematically it checks out that it works in the early power curve builds, but it's not going to be bringing you certain utility that other items will. For example, Baskin going for the Warlock Staff, trying to get the health so that he survives the initial burst from Mask, more importantly. So if there's ever an opportunity for an andinster to abuse Metyankey that doesn't have beads, I don't think Metyankey will ever survive.
That's kind of the trade-off that he's making. More power, but it is going to be a little bit, like you said, less utility. You know, not going to be the lifesteal, cooldown, or health as some of the other options that we see mages take around this slot would have available to him. Going into pin now is Metyankey, so certainly has some options trying to alleviate a little bit of that if he'd like to, but we'll see where he ends up going with this last option.
Aquarius getting poked out there. No ultimates expended from Trifecta, just a straight-up poking battle here. Interesting idea that Aquarius has by going for this cheap Gladiator shield now. This is the point when teamfights could easily break out at any given moment, so I think that's the reasoning why, where he wants to make sure that if they do break out, that he'll be in the right place at the right time with a 10% cooldown reduction. And considering that, you know, he's not the tankiest god in the game here, that extra bit of sustain might do the trick to keep him alive.
Defender of Olympus going for Metyankey, but not going to channel in time. Dharmic Pillars, Last Breath, all committed to help take down the mid laner in response. Trifecta is going to attack Aquarius here in solo, lurking in the waters to slow, and Mask is smacking him in the back. He's going to try and dodge to get away from the damage, but not going to be enough. Tail whip in the stun. Aquarius still surviving the two-man gank. I think he's going to make it out.
The heal is so good from the Gladiator shield, though. He's still trying to buy time. Mask is going to go down after Scary D having to reset the tower aggro.
But Gold Fury has been taken by Spacestation in response. They recognize how much pressure had to be given over in solo to finally take Aquarius down, and they're able to get that presence on the left-hand side and get that return. But this is why I know that we say Aquarius is a role player, and that's kind of like a thing now, right, that we say that. But this is this kind of thing that Aquarius brings to this team. Look how long he survived.
He based himself out there for so long. Okay, so Trifecta are very calculating about that gank. They realized Fatal Strike was on cooldown during the Benny Hill theme song of them trying to tower dive. But unfortunately, Mask misses his ultimate, doesn't apply the knock-up, misses a lot of damage as a result of additional basic attacks, and then Aquarius has enough time to use a couple of abilities after the Radiant Glory, so he heals from that ability, he heals from Gladiator Shield, so he's sustaining under his own Tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, that Tier 1 tower got off like maybe 15 tower shots between both Scary D and Mask, bought him enough time to at least return a kill.
This Tier 1 tower in solo lane is going to fall, though. Aquarius not able to finish, since of course they were able to eventually find the kill onto him, and that's a little price that they pay for being able to find the Gold Fury on the other side of the map. And
Aquarius playing very aggressive in terms of the player damage charts there.
He's up there, isn't he?
Normally, it is the soul laners that are the top of the player damage at this stage of the game, but not by this big of a margin. But I guess when you're fighting 1v2 for as long as Aquarius has, it's not really a surprise.
No, Aquarius has been able to put out twice as much damage, but Metyankey is experiencing all the damage too. They've been punishing this Agni here mid lane. Now they have to make the retreat as Mask is up in the air, lands on Baskin, but JeffHindla's right there for the peel. Mask at half health has got to retreat. Another clean pick for Spacestation.
Interrupts the spin to win, so no return kill there. Unfortunately for Mask, his prime target was andinster, but he was just too far out of position there between the Deathbane and the ambush, covering so much distance. Very difficult to chase that Serqet, and yet again, Metyankey really getting punished for not having the health, the same that Baskin has.
Aquarius putting some good damage into ScaryD on the right-hand side. I do want to talk a little bit about his, because you were mentioning his build a little bit earlier. It's so efficient, isn't it? Getting him some magical defense, some physical protections too. I mean, that's why he'll be able to survive a gank, or a large part of it is Pyromancer, hello, just goes down for free. No one from Trifecta around. Spacestation have been playing this objective game very well.
Very well indeed here. They're kind of baiting Aquarius out on the right side while they got the Gold Fury. And now this time around, after pick onto Metyankey, they don't have to worry about those bombs over the wall. And you were talking about the build from Aquarius. It is very efficient here. He has a spidey sense in the back of his mind. It's like, all right, action's about to come through. I need a cheap item. So he picks up this Gladiator Shield, which is not super effective in late game team fights, but he understands the value of winning these mid game team fights to transition into that late game.
ScaryD, a bit out here on an island, but he is Crocodile. He can swim right back to safety, looks like, without any real trouble. BaRRaCCuDDa meeting up with Zapman in the dual lane. They've got a lot of presence on the left-hand side. Mask is here in the jungle too, and he's trying to pressure out andinster. They meet and trade a good bit of damage in the jungle. And actually, andinster's going to take this opportunity to back. Looks like he's building into some defense.
So, as you were mentioning about Crocodile swimming across the oceans here, they actually move really slow on land.
Really?
Yeah.
But they're faster in the water.
Very much so. But they can move very fast for only short bursts of periods of time. Can you imagine if that's the lore that we went for Sobek, where he will actually pluck you from tier 1 to tier 1? Like, that's how fast a crocodile will move.
Oh, I see. So what if it was like he was really slow, but when he uses lurking in the waters, he zooms across the map, zooms across the map. That would be like accurate.
That could be a match of the day.
Great way to play.
We
Sobek.
should have that match of the day.
We really are on our planet Earth grind.
Yeah, we could be a planet Earth match of the day mode, where crocodiles move super slow and fast at the same time.
Be interesting to see. You talked about this a little bit earlier, though, Tully, to go back into talk about Metyankey here a little bit. He's having a bit of a rough time, level 15, as opposed to Baskin, who's level 18 right now, 0-3-0. And as you mentioned, he went with that Soul Reaver, as looks like we have a pause coming up, so doesn't have as much health or as much as utility, and kind of been getting punished.
It has been the case, unfortunately, for him. Going for a more damaging build with Spirit the Magus on top of it. It's understandable why he's doing this, but he's not thinking the long-term goal here. He needs to get to the late game there, because honestly, team fights at that early of the game with Soul Reaver and Pen Boots, you're sitting at about level 10 to 12 anyway here. How hard are your bombs really going to change between a Soul Reaver or a Warlock staff? Baskin wasn't deterred by it at all here, hitting a beautiful double unstable vortex during the gank from andinster. So lean on your jungler in the early game, survive those ganks with the Warlock staff, and then take the carry role in the late game.
You're right to point that out. That double kill from Andy early on probably did not help things for Metyankey as we're back into everything here. andinster 4-0-0, man. This time it's andinster, who at least is finding the last hits. He's certainly been starting all these fights and trying to punish Metyankey any opportunity that he gets. So that's what makes this Spacestation roster scary.
Trying to catch andinster out there. Not going to actually find it right around the corner there. NeiruMah was thinking about taunting there, but andinster was already out before NeiruMah could connect that ability.
The support build's a little interesting too. JeffHindla, in the true JeffHindla fashion, very much aura heavy, but I'm not even going to have a chance to talk about it as Gold Fury has been pulled by now Trifecta. ScaryD plucks back in JeffHindla, who gets blown right up. NeiruMah is the one that gets the last hit for that. ScaryD goes forward with the lurking in the waters, but catches a ton of damage. executed by Aquarius. 1-for-1 solo for support. The fight rages on as Mask goes up into the air and Neil gets
another
deleted
one
again.
in the
Double
back
kill.
line. Mask trying to take out one, will do so successfully. Defensive airstrike from BaRRaCCuDDa, not able to catch the Ratatoskr. Blink being used. Aquarius using that fatal strike just to cut the distance. Gonna chase out Zap on the top side, but it's Mask that's in trouble instead.
Mask had to use the bees to get away from the portal, but even that is not going to save his life. Yet another kill going the way of Spacestation, yet another kill going the way of Aquarius, and what a rotation out of the solo laner for Spacestation Gaming. This has Gold Fury written all over it.
An unofficial triple kill for Aquarius. Unfortunate that that third kill was a little bit too long in between the second one here. Being rewarded, though, with Spacestation with their second Gold Fury, and man, Aquarius piloting this Achilles to near perfection. Could have easily found a pentakill, honestly, there. If he was just a little bit closer to Zapman, could have maybe found, not the reset, but just the damage from the Fatal Strike alone is enough to be almost an execute in its own right against those squishy targets.
And totally, that fight starts with Scary D getting a great pluck on the JeffHindla. They pull him back, they blow him up. What goes wrong from there? That's the initiation Trifecta wanted.
That's true, and it's not like they invested a whole bunch of ultimates to kill out JeffHindla as well. There were still plenty of cooldowns to be had, but honestly, they got caught slipping there with the rotation from Aquarius, and also andinster in that back line just pulling one individual member. That's all it takes here. This level 17 Serqet that's so hard to lock down with this Mad Guy's Cloak.
It's also a ton of damage coming from BaRRaCCuDDa. Scary D kind of keeps going forward to zone, I think, with the lurking in the waters afterwards, and takes more damage than I think he was looking for. Mask, not ready to give up this Pyromancer. Scary D with another good pluck, this time on the Baskin, right into the taunt coming out from NeiruMah. Everyone else able to disengage, but it costs a couple of beads to get it done. Scary D forces Aquarius out, and the ultimate from him as well. Pyromancer is halted.
Baskin not even deterred there. He did use those defensive relics, but he is still with an ultimate. He's using his abilities to stack up that soul gem. Healing off of it is going to allow Spacestation to still stay in these team fights.
Spacestation not going to be able to grab this Pyro any longer. Good defense from Trifecta to push them back, because Spacestation have kind of been taking objective-wise whatever they want at this point totally. So Trifecta to stem the bleeding there, not let that Pyromancer go. Yes, it cost him a couple ultimates, but at least slow him down.
It's going to be a good look here for Spacestation. Sitting pretty with a 5,000 goal lead. So we approach this 23 minute mark. Still trying to go for some of these objectives, but a little bit of a pause for now.
It is going to be another brief pause. And so this is a chance to go back to that support conversation I didn't get to have there. JeffHindla going very much aura-based. I think has the Sov and the Heartwood already. Whereas we see more of that robe build coming out on the other side there for Neil. I think it's the Spirit robe right now as well. So what's the difference here? The auras from JeffHindla, but maybe a little more selfish from Neil.
It just depends on what you're trying to get from these team fights.
Sure.
Now, in that case where Jeff gets plucked, he definitely wishes he had a Spirit's robe
Right.
to help his team mates just buy more time for them to clean up. That 15% damage mitigation after receiving a crowd control, helping you out individually. But as the team fight progresses longer and longer, those auras just become more valuable. More HP 5, more MP 5 to spam more abilities. So I think JeffHindla has the better team fighting build.
Can't give auras if you're dead, and the Pyromancer is indeed dead going the way of Spacestation. Jeff is low, and Mask wants to try and drop in and finish him off. Portal, though, means there's no damage, and Aquarius takes down Scary D. Again, the solo laner for Spacestation, looking like a little bit more than a role player. Mask takes down andinster. Aquarius is forced to retreat through space and time, cuts a path through the team fight, but on the backside, NeiruMah keeping everyone busy.
I think the call from Spacestation was to retreat there. That's why Aquarius used that Fatal Strike defensively just to disengage. Same for Baskin using that through space and time, but with all that damage onto Mask, that could have easily been a turnaround. Hindsight is 2020, though.
Sure.
Spacestation listening to the call at the end of the day, no matter who makes it.
It's a one-for-one trade again, totally, but again, the objective going the way of Spacestation. They've just been that slight bit better in terms of starting up the right fights and confirming the objectives, and they've built steadily a lead for themselves. Trifecta have to try and find a way to slow down this pace from Spacestation, or maybe not slow down the pace, but just fight around these objectives a little bit better.
They're definitely slowing down the croc here because he did not get a chance to play the game after the pluck. Between all the CC here, the portal waiting for him on the ground, there's Serqet poison, and then after the unstable vortex and other shenanigans there, Fatal Strike just waiting for him after landing from the portals. Poor Scary D, man.
Poor Scary D. His direct lane opponent, though, Aquarius, having a game for himself on this Achilles right now. Every time he rotates into those team fights, man, it seems to go Space Station's way. And not just by way of the execute. Yes, those have been strong, but he's putting out plenty of damage in his own right, way up at the top of those player damage charts, and sitting pretty is Achilles.
Well, keep in mind that once the game progresses and Metyankey gets, that level 20 mark, gets a full build, that magical damage is really going to start hurting Aquarius, especially considering the range of those Agni bombs. It's longer than 55 units, which is going to basically make that runic shield meaningless.
Zapman is trapped amongst everyone, is going to get the Defender of Olympus off, so now Neil's here, but there's no one to save anymore. Trapped in the portal, he deleted as well. Mask going to come in now, and he'll be here all alone with no one trying to help him out. Through space and time does not hit, does create enough space to use the blink, and Mask is out of there, but not before two of his teammates die, and the tier 2 tower goes with it.
How did Mask avoid combat for 2 seconds in the middle of all 5 Space Station members? That's beyond me, but what's not beyond me is Space Station capitalizing on Zapman that didn't have his beats for another 40 seconds during that engagement.
Phoenix is down, and Metyankey seems a little bit upset about it, putting the bombs on the Baskin.
Wow.
Pluck is blocked by JeffHindla, so Baskin will be just fine. Now JeffHindla has to try and make the escape himself, but Scary D can't continue to chase. Space Station get the fight, the tower, and the Phoenix.
Whether intentional or not, JeffHindla doing true support things.
Sure.
Biting one for Baskin there. Going to be able to save the mid laner's life. Very impressive stuff from Space Station. Getting a left Phoenix without a Fire Giant 26 minutes of the game.
Gold Fury going the way of Space Station as well. And I want to take a moment to highlight Baskin here as well. I know he's not the one getting the last hits this time, but he's second in damage on his team. He's 0-10, been a part of almost every kill, actually more than anyone else on the squad so far, at least on Space Station. I know he's not getting the last hits, but he's playing just as well as we see him normally.
The only kill he wasn't a part of was that tower dive that Mask did onto Aquarius.
Right. I mean, everything he could be a part of, he's been there.
Yeah, just absolutely MVP performance from Baskin despite not having a kill. Normally these are your support slash line 0-0
Very support,
and 10.
isn't it?
But that's not a support build coming from the mid Janus.
Trifecta look like they want to try and start another fight, but Jeff puts an end to that with the Dharmic Pillars. Andinster, though, not trying to put an end to that, puts the ultimate on the NeiruMah, brings him right back, but he's incredibly low. Baskin does find the kill, but Zapman hits the snipe and puts him down. BaRRaCCuDDa forced to try and find an escape path. Airstrike is on cooldown as Aquarius zones the entire rest of the team.
Mask looking for in the backhand side. He doesn't have the blink. I don't think those acorns would have reached BaRRaCCuDDa. I think he wanted to cancel the back, install the fear in the eyes of the Fishman, but too experienced. He's seen a lot of things in his life to stop the back from a little squirrel. He's seen some big fish in his life.
Yeah, BaRRaCCuDDas are not scared of squirrels, I imagine, right? On the totem pole.
They can't
get away
swim
from planet Earth
underwater.
today. What's happening here?
They can't swim underwater.
It's true. He'll be safe down there. He's able to make that back happen. But finally, a fight goes somewhat even for Trifecta there. They do end up losing NeiruMah, but they take down Andinster as well. So not going to be able to push into the Fire Giant or Space Station, and Trifecta are the ones that started that, as Aquarius could be in trouble. Defender of Olympus is coming down on top of him to mitigate some damage. The bombs are committed now, but through space and time, meaning the rest of the team is ready to join.
And BaRRaCCuDDa throwing the pot shots. A lot of cooldowns being used, trying to find that kill. Defender of Olympus here. I believe it was the Belt of Frenzy also from NeiruMah that was used. Beads from Zapman trying to find more DPS onto Aquarius. This could be the go sign for Space Station to force something around this Fire Giant now.
Yeah, and I made it sound like Defender of Olympus was there to help Aquarius, but it was the opposite. Just the tankiness of this late game Achilles helping to keep him alive despite all the damage that was coming in. Pyromancer being looked at by Space Station. Scary D is here, but nothing that a Sobek can do to try and out-confirm this Space Station roster, and they take another objective.
Something that Anderson has been doing this game is taking a different approach on the way he engages as an assassin. He's kind of engaging as if he's a frontline warrior that's about to take a lot of incoming damage and doesn't care. Getting punished that last time around there. Going on NeiruMah for the kill was all fine and dandy, but there's too much global pressure between Mask and Zapman to escape safely there. Even if you do find the kill, I think Andinster needs to kind of reapproach some of these fights and make sure that if he's going to go in, that he's not going to take 90% of his health pool as he disengages.
Yeah, I think it was, the very first snipe from Zap that he hit? That was all enough. He didn't even need to hit anything more than that. So you're right, so low when he tried to make that escape that it was easy for them to finish it off. Spacestation, though, they're pulling the Fire Giant, and this is a great call. Trifecta are not in position to defend this. Neo gets pulled into the portal and deleted. Baskin takes that kill. They don't even finish doing the Fire Giant because Trifecta don't have vision. This is going to bait out the ultimate from Mask, and an overcommit. He is going to land down now on top of JeffHindla, but it's not enough damage through space and time. Destroys Mass health bar.
Here comes the Fatal Strike onto Zapman. Aegis being used as well. andinster cleaning him up. Now it's Scary D. That's the focus, but there's too many space members right around him.
What a perfect fight from Spacestation. They start the Fire Giant, recognizing Trifecta aren't around, bait in Neil, blow him up. They drop the Fire Giant, but because there's no vision, Trifecta don't know, and then they just cake them one by one as they come in. 3 members down. Fire Giant for Spacestation.
Spacestation just too experienced to jump the gun on that objective. There was no need to really rush it in a 5-on-4. They wanted to see if they could bait any other members. They only really used that Serqet ultimate and the Ganesha to kill NeiruMah to start things off, baiting out the Mask ultimate. Also allowed the blink engagement here from andinster on top of Zapman.
Tier 2 tower in right falls. Looks like the Phoenix is still down over in left lane as well, so that one might have been taken again.
I think so, yeah. It definitely was, because it was stripped away around the 26, 27 minute mark there, so that was taken out by minions.
Minions able to keep the game going, and the rest of the gods on Spacestation able to take down the Phoenix on the right-hand side. There is still a tier 2 in mid that they'll want to deal with, but Spacestation have wrestled control back. Despite that one good fight from Trifecta in the jungle, Spacestation certainly still in charge here.
They're still able to show the world why they are the #1 North American team here in the final set of the Spring Split online portion.
And this has got to be, it's got to be a little bit reaffirming, right? Because it's a bit surprising that E-United come in and 2-0 on last set. I think that E-United winning is not too big of a surprise all in all, but 2-0, probably not many people called that. So Spacestation come in, they come in and look strong here up against Trifecta, and they can start moving with that momentum into the lane.
I would agree that it's very difficult to call Spacestation losing to E-United 2-0, but then you keep in mind how E-United started off the split versus how they're ending it.
They're better now, yeah.
They're definitely showing signs of their old late season 4 form, where they're able to find victories over almost anybody, and they're going to be a very scary contender during the Masters land.
Well, that's the set that kind of proves it, right? The one that we just saw. So now it's like for sure E-United are back, and we're seeing them play at the level we kind of expected. Took them a little while to get there, but now they're good. I don't want to talk about this set like it's over, though, before it is. Spacestation still have a little work to do to take down Trifecta. Got some minions pushing in. We see the pings coming out on the map. andinster is lurking to the side. He might go try and make sure those are pushed up and split the focus here of Trifecta.
Very difficult to siege into an Agni with those bombs coming around those corners. Now, the middle Phoenix, though, it's a little bit easier, though, as long as you know the direction of the Agni. That's why andinster is pushing out that right side, making sure that some fire minions will trickle down that right side. Mask can easily defend the left with the global through the Cosmos. And Spacestation, they're playing it so methodically here. They're not going to go into that Phoenix line. They want to see how Trifecta are going to bite instead. Another minute and a half with their Fire Giant buff.
They're going to fight without the minion wave. Aquarius goes in first, and JeffHindla's on the right trying to zone away. Mass, though, is up in the air, and he's on the backside looking who he can land on. The target's going to be BaRRaCCuDDa, who's low through space and time. Hits nearly everyone, and Trifecta, after going the full retreat, Zapman falls first. Next up on the chopping block, looks like it's Metyankey. Baskin is the one that finds him. They turn their attention towards Scary D and can't lurk in the waters deep enough to get away from all the members of Spacestation.
It's a 2-0 thus far. The last and final Phoenix out of Trifecta here. Spacestation Gaming trying to make a statement here. The Belt of Frenzy being used from NeiruMah, but it's not enough to hold.
It's not going to be able to keep Spacestation away. Airstrike comes over the top from BaRRaCCuDDa to put in a little bit more damage, and Neil falls as well. Game 1 goes the way of Spacestation Gaming, the top seed in North America, looking like every bit of that #1.
Honestly, I am really surprised with how dominant Spacestation are compared to the last set. Really impressive stuff here. They did their homework with the picks and bans. Yeah. Also, their builds were just all over the place. I'm really impressed with Aquarius, the Gladiator Shield. The timing of it, very important to survive those ganks from Mask here. The survivability from Baskin there. I forgot what his slash line was at the end, but, you know, being 0-0-10 at that one point in the game Very good stuff here.
Baskin looked excellent for him in that game. Really, the whole squad did totally. So it's not going to be an easy task trying to decide, make sure chat, who the MVP is going to be from that set. But we should have that poll up for you in a moment. Make sure that you do vote in it and let us know who you think. But you highlighted earlier, man, the bounce back potential from the Space Station roster. They did not slow down at all.
Not at all here. Engaging in the middle lane with andinster Serqet. Definitely feeling himself today.
Anderson having a good game, man. He looked strong, looked like he's back, and that's what makes the Space Station roster so scary. But we'll go ahead and get over to the desk so they can break it down.
Thanks a lot, friends. And here, standing watching. I mean, day's over, right? Fun stuff.
No, not quite. It's only game 1. Tom, what are you worried about here? We got plenty of more Smite to go. What are you trying to get out of here for, huh?
I'm saying that Space Station Gaming looked dominant there, man.
Yeah, they looked very good. And it almost looked like Trifecta was starting to get some momentum because they start heading over to that solo lane a lot, putting pressure onto Aquarius. And then all of a sudden, Aquarius just starts killing just surviving, and then he comes in the team fight and starts killing everybody. This was a solid team effort from Space Station.
The triple kill out of Aquarius was a really, really fun moment, and then watching everything doing fun stuff here was interesting. Sorry, I lost myself for a moment there. What I was trying to say was that Aquarius was really stepping up, and this is what I've been waiting for. Not for him to step up because he's done that in the past, but for him to sort of punish folks for not expecting him to be on the same level as the rest of his teammates.
Exactly. You expect someone to come over there and start to punish him a little bit, right? That's the game plan. Oh, yeah, we don't want to mess with Baskin or BaRRa or Andy. Let's just go beat up on Aquarius.
Right.
And then he hits you in the mouth, gets a triple, not even a double kill, a.k.a.
Dirty doubler.
No, you've got a phrase that I'm looking for. That was supposed to be very smooth, like you and I were going to be on the same page. You were just going to lay out the...
Aquarius is MVP?
He is, but that's not what I was looking for.
Oh, you wanted me to force the issue.
No, I didn't want to put you between a rock and a hard place. I wanted you to go with your traditional double kill call. He got a triple kill, and he's really good, okay?
5, 2, and 7 for the solo laner, and this guy has really transitioned into becoming somebody that you just can't mess with. Here he is, and look at him, like, kind of just zoning by way of just being around there, finally using the ultimate there to find the kill, and I think this is one of the better parts where he actually winds up with the double kill.
You know who had an insane double kill themselves was andinster in the mid lane. That first engagement, as soon as he hits level 5, he hits one with the ultimate, it spreads immediately to the other, double kills them, then Baskin fires off, I believe it was a mask with a 3 space of time. Wasn't enough to find the kill, but that's the potential for Space Station, right? Is andinster makes an insane play, Baskin's right there to help as well, and then Aquarius comes in, BaRRaCCuDDa's there, JeffHindla's doing everything. When this team fires on all cylinders, it's going to be horrifying to go up against. There's no doubt about it.
That's why I'm so excited to see just Aquarius do it. Oh, man. It's going to be really scary for Trifecta in game number 2. Space Station.